Welcome to episode 128 of the Quick Time Event Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Josh, and as always, I am joined by my good friend, John.
128. Big number.
It is, and we talked about this on the Let's Play series. I think that I'm now going to be fucked when it comes to... Maybe I should just knock out the episode number at the beginning of the spiel.
At the very start.
I got to get out of that habit because I'm going to get mixed up every single time because there's a Let's Play with a number and there's this with a number. That's two numbers I have to keep track of, John. That's way too many numbers.
Two whole numbers.
Two numbers
Holy
too many,
shit.
To be honest. The Quick Time Event Podcast is a chance for John and I to get together each and every week to talk about all of the nerdy things that we love. If you like what you hear, you can find us live on... Well... That's not true either. You used to be able to find us live on twitch.tv/QuickTimeEventPodcast_. However, for the past 2 weeks, my internet has just been non-present. It's just not here. I have like
Gone.
5 gigs of download speed, which is enough to have John here with me, but that's about it. I don't know what's going on. I've been trying to figure it out. I'm making no progress. So... if you really want to get at us, find us on YouTube or on all of your favorite podcast services, because currently Twitch is just not going to happen. Hopefully soon again, but not right now.
Eventually. We'll be back. Eventually.
What you been up to?
What have I been up to? So I beat Spiritfarer. Which we can talk about a little bit. I know that you kind of mentioned wanting to do a spoiler cast, sort of.
Yeah,
just a mini one, because
Sure.
I don't think it would take a full podcast or anything.
No.
And I officially passed. I forget if I mentioned this or not, but I officially passed episode 250 on One Piece.
Nice.
So there's not quite 1,000 episodes out yet. So I am officially over 25% of the way to being caught up. Which is disgusting because I could have watched, like, I don't know, 20 smaller shows.
Yeah, something like that.
And I've been playing a bunch of Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night.
Oh, that Castlevania kind of spiritual successor, right?
It's definitely more Castlevania than it is Metroid in terms of like the Metroidvania genre.
Okay.
It's fun. It is, and maybe this is a Castlevania thing. I never really played them, but like there's a really cool and also very frustrating game mechanic. And that is you kill enemies and they'll have a like random chance to drop this thing called a shard, which basically gives you a power.
Okay.
And some of those, there's one specific that like you need to get to progress, but they don't tell you.
See, that's the kind of stuff
it's
that
kind of annoying. There's like they never really. They give you vague hints on where to go. You could get lost really easily. And they give you the vague hint once, and like it's from this shopkeeper. And then if you talk to them again, they don't tell you it again. So if you don't remember, you're fucked.
That is such an old school kind of design choice.
Yeah.
Like that is something that I feel like would have been in the original Castlevania games. Really any sort of first person, maybe not first person, like any single player like kind of game from the early 90s. Like that they would like give you these general directions, and me as a dumb 6-year-old or whatever in 1996 would not pick up on that stuff.
That was the big thing. Yeah.
And so when I encounter that stuff now, someone who is educated and whatever that means, someone who like, I'm not 6 years old anymore. I have critical thinking skills, but when I see that kind of stuff nowadays, I still go back to how I felt running against the wall as a 6-year-old, not understanding where to go, and immediately it just turns me off.
Yeah, there have been times where I had to look something up because I was just like, you gave me this weird ass hint that didn't really make any sense because I think you referred to a place I haven't even discovered. and I don't know how to get to that. Like, your hint didn't tell me how to get there. It just told me that the thing I need is there. Like, that's worthless. The biggest culprit of like annoyance at this point was definitely the you need this shard skill from this certain enemy to be able to travel underwater. And it's not a boss enemy. Like, you're not guaranteed to get it.
It's
It's
just a
just
random spawn.
yeah.
What is that?
So you just, I mean, it's got a decent drop rate of like 10%, which it, again, percentages mean nothing in video games because like they say 10% and then I killed, I don't know, 5 of them and ended up getting 2 shards. And I was like, okay, that's like almost 50%. I don't know where you're getting your fractions from, but neat.
That's like grinding for loot before that was even a thing.
Yeah.
Just like we don't have enough to make a real game. That's not like at the time it was a real game, but like we don't have enough to like make this real flushed out experience. So we're gonna force you to do the same thing 50 times.
You got to go out of the room, back into the room to respawn them.
Oh,
So that
no,
was
no.
That was I would have been stuck for a long time, but fortunately I know somebody who played it and they kind of gave me a heads up that that was going to be bullshitty and happen, and so I knew that I had to kill one of these random enemies. And also the worst thing about it is that like your quote unquote swimming ability that you unlock isn't just, oh, okay, you can now like you gain this passive shard where you can just, you know, swim like a normal thing. No, the swimming ability that you get is you hold up your hand and you shoot these projectiles that then jet you where you want to go. So you always have to like aim the opposite way of where you want to go. It's the underwater section has been a nightmare. It has been miserable.
You are doing such a great job of telling me why I should never in a million years play this game.
The rest of the game has been fun. But
this just goes back to that old adage as water levels are never fun.
No.
Have you ever played a Super Mario water level, a Sonic the Hedgehog water level, a water level in anything and been like, yeah, this is my fucking shit, dude. This is why I play video games. I want to collect the little air bubbles while I'm down there so I don't drown. This is it. This is the summit. I can't believe I've reached it. No.
That reminds me, I say a long time ago, probably, I don't know, 2 years ago. It was on the podcast. I mentioned that I was playing ukulele.
Yeah.
And I completely forgot until like a friend of mine started playing it and reminded me, but also until just now. That's why I put ukulele down. Because like the third world was like, hey, you're going into this fish tank to enter the level, and I was like, if the entrance is a fish tank, that means water level. I'm out. I'm done. I'm not doing this.
What was the discussion we had very recently where it was a game? Oh, it was for Yakuza, Like a Dragon, where they were doing homages to early Dragon Quest stuff, 90s Dragon Quest stuff.
Yeah.
And it was grindy, and I think you made the comment, that's the stuff that should have stayed in the 90s. I don't have nostalgia for that. Why do you think I have nostalgia for that? This is that exact same thing. I don't have nostalgia for water levels. Stop giving me water levels.
No, thank you, please.
Even water levels in like modern games, like The Last of Us Part 2, there's kind of a water level at the kind of near the end of the game where you're in a boat and you have to, like, Seattle's kind of flooded from this hurricane that came in and you have to drive the boat around. Sure. It's a great chapter and like there's some great stuff that happens, but it's still.
But overall, you're like kind of dreading it as you play.
Yeah,
like when's this gonna be over? Let me
water.
Get back on land.
Yeah, I'm a fish. No.
Yeah. But Bloodstained has been fun. But the again, that bullshit thing with getting that random power up sucked, but I knew about it going into it, so it wasn't that bad. And then most of the time I've been able to figure out where I need to go or what I need to do, but there were like probably 3 times that I had to look something up where I just either forgot the hint or the hint just didn't make sense, or there was no hint. Um, the only other major complaint I have about the game, and this is probably because of the Switch, but it has if you die and get a game over, the load time is forever.
Mm.
And that might be way better on the PC. I don't know. I assume it is. But on Switch, it's just like, hey, we're going to show you the logo for the game for, I don't know, 25 seconds. And then we're going to show you the game over font for 15 seconds.
Oh, God.
Then the logo of the game for 25 seconds. By the time like a minute passes, you can finally play again. And it's just like, what? Why? What did I do to? I know I got a game over, but why are you stealing a whole minute from me now?
That is something that I love about the PlayStation 5.
Sure.
You just get into a rhythm, I think, where like, okay, you're loading up a fast travel. Okay, I'm in Spider-Man or whatever, and I'm gonna go from point A to point B. I have to fast travel. For the last, I guess, 10 years, because smartphones really didn't exist before this last generation. At least not to the level where we're all constantly on our smartphones. For the last 10 years or so, we would load up that save point and like, okay, we got to load. Time to look at my phone. Time to open Twitter. Time to do something else so I can multitask and feel like I'm accomplishing something and not just staring at the same hint I've seen 50 times on the loading screen.
Yeah.
With the PlayStation 5, that's not there anymore. I no longer pick up my phone when I'm playing a game because I'm back in the game already.
That's so nice.
It's amazing. I feel like so much like I realize I could have just like left my phone in another room when I play games, but now the temptation isn't even there.
Yeah.
It's so nice. Speaking of that, are you planning on playing you still haven't played Royal yet, but Strikers is a sequel to the base game, not Royal. Are you planning on playing Strikers?
Probably. Man, I forgot. Multiple things happened with either sales or deals or something, and I told myself, all right, beat Spiritfarer, then beat Bloodstained, then let's because that's probably the bulk of the games that I bought when it was like Christmas time on the Switch. So I was like, all right, once I beat Bloodstained, I'm gonna jump to Royal. Then two things happened. I haven't made the purchase for one of them. But one of them was, and maybe it's not, I assume it's on sale still, but you posted that 13 Sentinels is on sale for like $30, and I was like, well, shit, which one do I play? But then the other thing that happened was our good old friend Wario64 tweeted out that Walmart royally screwed up and posted Captain Toad's
Did you get that?
treasure tracker. Yeah, I was able to get it.
Okay, because I saw he posted some follow-up that said it was for the DLC, and Walmart started sending out DLC codes.
Mine. I must have just squeezed in because mine is the game plus DLC for basically $5.
Nice.
They asked if I wanted to round up, and I was like, you know what? I'm getting this for like 98% off. Sure, I'll round up for whatever charity this is.
And that was Captain Toad, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I got that, and I'm just like, I don't think it's going to be a long game, which is why I would have never bought it for $30. But for $5,
sure.
Absolutely.
So going back to Persona 5 Strikers real quick.
Yes.
Where are you going to play it, if and when you play it?
I don't know.
Because there was a video going around on Twitter probably 2 or 3 months ago of...
Wasn't the load time better on Switch than anywhere else?
No.
Oh,
no, it was
something else.
It was when the PS5 came out. It was a side-by-side comparison of Strikers loading on a Switch, a PS4, and a PS5. PS5 loaded in like that. PS4 took maybe 9 to 10 seconds to load in. Switch was like 35 seconds.
Yeah, it was really frustrating watching that because, like, I think a couple days later they showed a load time screen for something else, and I don't remember what it is now. I'll try to dig and find it. But the Switch actually had the fastest load time out of like I don't think it was like PS5 or anything, but it was like PlayStation 4, Switch, and something else, and they did a side by side, and it was exact opposite.
If we have
I
any,
was
if we have any developers, not game developers, because I don't think that we have any game developers that listen to this podcast, just
Probably
like any sort of coding, like app developers, whatever. I'm very curious about memory and how memory works. I could read up on it, but like if somebody just wants to come on here and explain how memory works, I would love to know, because games on Switch are so fucking small. Like you look at the memory on a Switch. What's the memory of the system itself without any SD cards?
pretty sure it's like what 32 gigabytes or
Something like that,
It's,
but like
it's tiny.
Like Breath of the Wild was like 4 gigs or something, if that. It was so small compared to what we get at like the most recent Call of Duty game is like 120 gigabytes.
Yeah.
And granted, there's texture differences there. I understand that part. But you look at the same game, you look at Persona 5 Strikers, and Persona 5 Strikers on PS5 or PS4 is probably going to be somewhere around, I would guess, 40 to 50 gigabytes. It's not going to be that on Switch, though.
No.
So I wonder if, like, sometimes developers, if they, like, are really knowledgeable about the Switch hardware, can, like, manipulate the memory such that it actually does load faster, especially for some of the smaller games or ones that don't, like maybe like more pixel art indie type games might load faster on Switch because the files are usually smaller. I don't know.
I don't know what it was, but whatever it was the exact opposite of that Persona Strikers thing. But going back to your point, I don't 100% know where I'm going to get it. Because, like, if it is basically the same load times as Age of Calamity, that's fine. I never minded that. But if it's for some reason longer, even though it's by the same company and the same type of game, then I might have issues. I don't know. We'll see.
I pre-ordered the other day.
I've got time to figure it out.
Yeah, I pre-ordered the other day. If you pre-order it on, I think if you pre-order it anywhere, though I don't know how Switch does digital, like extra digital content, because on PS4, if you pre-order it through the PSN, you get the same stuff you get in the collector's edition that you get in the store. So you get a digital copy of the 40 track soundtrack. And then you get some other stuff too. You also get, if you pre-order it, like 5 days early access. It comes out on Tuesday officially, but you can start playing it on Friday the 19th.
Okay. I assume it'll carry over your progress.
Yeah, because it's just the game unlocks for you early.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, it's you're playing the same game, but so I pre-ordered it. I'm ready to go. We'll see.
All right. Anyways, what have you been up to?
Moral of the story, not very much. So before we get to me, let's go back to Spiritfarer for a minute. If you have not played Spiritfarer, if you think you're going to play Spiritfarer and you don't want to have anything spoiled for you, skip ahead like 10 minutes. Not even 10 minutes, but 5 minutes. This is going to be a short conversation. Skip ahead and save yourself some spoilers. I just want to...
I'm going to set a little timer so that we actually do not run over on accident, because that would suck to be like, hey, do 5 minutes 5 minutes from now. And so, yeah, ultimately the point was...
5 minutes. 5 minutes, skip ahead, starting right now. So, how did you react to... What was your takeaway? Like, how did the story end? What did you think happened?
I'm still a little confused, I think, is the best way. Like, I know that there was more going on than they were upfront about. I'll tell you, some of the characters were definitely more impactful than the others. That's for sure. I know that I mentioned while we were playing Overwatch the one night, Stanley was rough. That was uncalled for.
Child death is never fun.
Like, man, it's never fun, but the way that they like...
Death in general is not... That was a callous thing to say.
Yeah.
Death is never fun, but child death is just something no one should ever have to deal with. Ever.
And, like, the way that they... I don't know, like... the way that they gave him his lines and stuff, it really emphasized like how innocent he was and like how little he knew, especially towards the end when you were going and taking him in the boat and he was like, I'm scared. I feel cold. I don't know what to do. And I was like, oh my God. Like that's how everybody would feel in that situation, but especially a kid.
So Stella,
Yes.
what was her journey about from your perspective?
I'm not entirely sure, and I was gonna look it up, but then I was like, no, I'll
I would
save
go.
it
I
until
would go
later.
read the Spiritfarer. There's a wiki you can read.
Yeah.
And I
So
think
because like ultimately the point I thought of the game was that maybe at a like more top level is that it is very difficult but also very necessary to say goodbye to some friends. Because that was the like more immediate lesson is that you get to know these people, you become friends with them, but ultimately you're just ferrying them away. Like
sure.
you're helping them cross over.
So did you catch some of the dialogue? So you know the spirits that are in town that you can hear, or they like talk to you or
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah. A lot of them were were really funny actually.
Um, if you, and I think this might just because I 100% of the game, but I went through and I talked to a lot of those spirits along the way. Did you do that
I
often?
I talked to if they had multiple dialogue trees, then I didn't usually talk to them multiple times.
Okay. Because
But I
sometimes
did talk to
those,
all of them basically at least once.
sure. So sometimes those spirits know you, or they'll divulge information.
Hmm.
The other part of Stella's story obviously comes from Hades, and the little story snippets you get as you have those encounters with him.
Wait, who?
Hades, the owl.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that his name was Hades.
Yeah, no, he was Hades.
Okay.
So
That makes sense.
I don't want to like. If you read this is the story of the game. I don't want to be pedantic if you picked up on this, but Stella's dying. Stella died.
I knew that she died. I wasn't sure if she was currently dying. I like there were all those scenes of like people in the hospital. So I wasn't sure if she was actively dying
That
or if she was
was
already
so.
dead.
This is where the metaphor comes in. She is in her life before this was essentially an hallucination or some way of her dreaming her life. Essentially, she was a hospice nurse in her life. And
Okay.
so all of these people that she's shepherding across, they know her because these were her patients as she carried out her job.
Interesting.
And so when you're listening to some of those Hades stories, or some of the scenes that are going on, you find out that Stella gets a really aggressive form of cancer and starts dying.
Yeah.
And so this game is really like in her final moments, she's coming to terms with her own death through her life's work, essentially.
Okay.
And so it's like when you start to think about it that way and some of the interactions that you're having with some of these characters, she's feeling the same way those characters feel.
Yeah.
And so that when I found that out and had that sort of epiphany, it just kind of changed my perception of everything. And then like playing this game in the middle of COVID, and I played it back in
Yeah.
like September when like the first wave was kind of done and the second wave was starting to ramp up and it was like we have no idea what's going on again.
Hold up. Should we put another
Okay,
should we add more
if you came back 2 more minutes.
2 more minutes.
It's just it was a really impactful game.
Sure. Yeah, no, that's for sure.
So
I kind of wish that they were a little more on the nose with like the message, especially if you did get all the like at least main quests completed. Because I finished all the main quests. I went and got that last person, and I ended up doing everybody's. But I feel like unless you like you did went for 100% completion, you're probably gonna miss out on a lot of stuff.
Yeah. And like I obviously liked the game a lot when I played it, but I think that I've grown much like To the Moon and Finding Paradise, where I enjoyed those games really To the Moon in general. I enjoyed that game when I played it, but it wasn't until after I finished Finding Paradise and as I keep going on, like reflecting back on that game, that I feel more strongly about it.
Sure.
I would definitely go and encourage you to read through that the wiki.
I was definitely going to do some reading, because I did at one point I had to look up how to get like silk or something, or something, and I looked up somebody's quest line, and they were like, so this person is actually this person who is Stella's brother's friend or something, and I was like, okay, we're getting a little more specific on these relationships rather than these kind of random strangers that you're just picking up on islands.
Yeah. So like some of these characters, they were people that Stella knew and she helped them through their end.
I figured.
And then others were, I think they all at the end became friends, but it's more like, and then you look at some of those interactions where, you know, at the end of one of their lives, like one of them became senile, one of them became very angry, and like one of them just left without saying anything. And it's like, well, when you think about what that actually means, like she didn't get to say goodbye, or this person like is really having a really hard time coming to terms with that. And, you know, it's not easy.
No, it's not. And that's time. So yeah, impactful game for sure. I definitely will go and look up some more details now that I've completed it, and try to fill in some of those gaps. See if my thoughts or opinions or anything like that changes with more specifics from the studio directly, or wherever all the wiki info came from. I don't know if it was people who 100%ed it and just put a lot of dots together, or if like they came out and just said, hey, here, this is what this all means, in case it wasn't like crystal clear as you played it.
Sure.
For those who have beaten it.
So I have not, I'm still riding that not playing games bandwagon. Playing a lot of Overwatch. Don't really need to talk about Overwatch. Started Yakuza Kiwami. I don't know. I think that I'm not in a place to play it. I put like an hour into it. I got through like the opening, the introduction or whatever.
Yeah.
And I don't want to like hard commit to it. It's not a long game. I think it's like 20 hours or something.
Not bad, especially for a Yakuza game.
Sure. So it's because it came out on the PS2 or PS3 back in like 2000. It's an older game.
That would do it.
Yeah. I kind of feel like I'm in a good place right now. And when I'm not playing games, I've been learning. So I'm taking a Udemy class, or Udemy. I don't know how to pronounce that website. It's like lynda.com or Skillshare or whatever, where you can basically take classes on different kind of subjects. Really anything under the sun. I highly recommend it. If there's just a hobby you want to get into, I guarantee you there's a class you can take there. And some of them are like, I think it's like, it's almost a marketing tactic, but all of the classes on there are at least $100. Some of them I've seen as high as like $300. Like one of them was there's an official class from Epic Games, for coding in Unreal Engine. That's like $300. However, I think that 6 days of the week, every week, Udemy runs a sale where everything is like 95% off. So most of the time, classes are like $10, $5 to $10.
Yeah.
If you go on there on like the one day out of the 14 days a week, or 14 days, the one day out of every 14 days that there isn't a sale, you might see something that's $300, but most of the time it's really cheap. But yeah, so anything you want.
Wait like a day.
Yeah. Drawing, painting, digital painting, real painting, pottery, whatever the fuck your deal is, whatever you want to do, I guarantee there's a class you can probably take. So I'm taking a class on video production using Premiere Pro, and I've learned a lot. Not only in Premiere Pro, but just for Adobe products in general. That's going to help with Audition and some other stuff. So I've been doing that. I think it's like a 15-hour course, and I'm like 6 hours into it, so I still got quite a ways to go. But that's like 6 hours of video. Then there's like projects you do on the side of it. So I've definitely committed more than 6 hours to it. It's just kind of going kind of slow. But
isn't it funny how like whenever you were in college, you were paying for all these courses, but like
You weren't really like, you weren't
you weren't
invested in it.
really you weren't invested at all. And now that you like are out of school and have the time, have the resources, know what you actually want to do at least somewhat for maybe just a hobby, that's fine. Like you're actually willing to invest the time, energy and concentration and effort into these actual again these
Yeah,
courses. Like
yeah.
you could have easily this could easily be a class that you take in college. Wouldn't have paid any attention back then,
No,
but
no.
now, yeah, absolutely.
To all of our listeners out there that might still be in high school, or if you're in college or whatever, think about that. Coming from two dudes who were in their late 20s to early 30s. Just think about that for a second. You know, not everything has to be life-changing, but if you can learn something that's going to be useful for you later on, go for it now. Like, don't
Yeah.
wait.
Don't be lazy.
Though, on the other side of that, like, some things you're just not ready for. Like, in college,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, a lot of my college experience, I don't want this to turn into a college experience podcast, but, like, a lot of what I did in college was the molding of the mind kind of thing. Not so much learning actual information, but becoming an adult, like a functioning member. The motto of our
well-rounded student kind of thing.
Yeah, the motto of our university is education for citizenship. Like, the idea of getting the education is so that you become a citizen of the world. That's the entire point. And I feel like a lot of my focus was on the developing of the whole person kind of thing. Like, I try to have experiences, I had leadership experience, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
The actual coursework I took taught me critical thinking skills and all this other stuff, but like
Yeah.
it wasn't like I was actually invested in the material necessarily.
Yeah.
I wish I would have been, but
I do find that interesting though, and I really hope that I don't derail us even further down this rabbit hole. But like, I was thinking about this recently. Maybe this is just an American thing. Maybe this is just a me thing. Maybe people don't feel this way, but like, I feel like for your whole life in like a public education system, you're told that there's like a correct path to like get to your goals. And typically it involves going to college. But like whenever you do go to college, there isn't just like all right, do these classes, checklist A, B, C, D, like finish these things and you will get this, like you will be set to do this specific job. Like that's not how it works. And
no.
I feel like that like really screws with some people. It really screwed with me, especially because like now whenever I want to do something, I spend so long trying to figure out the right way to do it that half the times I don't do it at all because I'm just like, this is either something that like the very specific version of what I want to do with something doesn't exist. And so the steps don't exist. And so I'm just lost because I'm like, well, I was always told that I had to follow this step, this step, this step, and I would get to here. But like now, whenever I have like these creative endeavors that I want to do, it's like, no, you gotta kind of figure it out and put it together yourself. Like there is no right way.
Right.
Which is such a, I don't know, it's such a weird thing.
It's the creative process, I guess.
I guess. It's just annoying going from like this world where you're told.
Right. Because you are brought up like that. Like I don't know. American education is interesting because there is a lot of I can't believe we're talking about this. There's increasing, there's increasing want or desire from I guess the government, I don't know, people who want standardization across education.
Yeah.
But even within that increasing standardization, there's still a lot of room to let kids be creative. And that's not the case in every society. I've been watching a lot of videos about Japan recently, and some of the vloggers that I'm watching teach there. Like that's how they're in Japan. They got jobs teaching English in Japan. And that society is not about the individual. It's not about, teaching kids to be creative and finding creative solutions. It's about it's about the common good essentially. And so it's like, it's about team building and that kind of thing. And it's just kind of, this is a weird kind of place because
it was the Persona 4 mentality whenever they were growing the vegetables, and they were like, they'll grow if we try hard enough. And you were like, wow, that's the Japanese mindset for sure.
But we live in this, in America at least, it's this dichotomy of like, you are an individual, but we're also going to tell you what to do. And then when like they take away that tell you what to do part, sometimes it's hard to switch over to the other side.
It's hard to adjust and be like, wait,
yeah,
what? You're telling me after 18 plus years of like being instructed and told how to do something, now I'm just on my own?
Sure.
What happens when I get into a new situation?
I don't know what to do. What do I do with my hands? I don't know.
Hello? Help.
So yeah, learning Premiere Pro, like it a lot.
Nice.
Hopefully you'll see that YouTube video here. I said by the end of January, but I think I might have bit off too much to chew because
it's real easy to do that, especially with like resolution type things.
Yeah. I think the most important part is that right now I'm focusing on developing the foundation that I need to be able to do the thing that I want. And so before I, record something that I'm not gonna be able to use anyway, I want to make sure that I understand the process. And so I'm hoping to finish this course either this weekend or maybe sometime early next week. And then from there, I'll try and finish. But I think that said by the end of January, the first video comes out, but it might not be until a couple weeks after that. But once I get like that first one out, it'll be easier going forward because I don't have to do all of this learning up front.
Yeah, you'll settle into a groove and you'll understand how things work. So
still really excited to get going, but it's a learning process.
For sure.
Other than that, though, a show came out on Friday that is fucking great. On that little indie service called Disney Plus, there's a new MCU.
I think I know what show you're talking about.
Show called.
A friend of mine does not get it.
Really?
Yeah.
WandaVision came out last Friday, and holy crap, I'm so in. So the premise of WandaVision, we have no idea what the show's even really about, to be completely honest, because at the end of Endgame spoilers, that 2 years ago that movie came out. Vision's dead, like super dead. He died in Infinity War like 3 years ago, so he's been dead for a long time. He did not come back when they brought everyone back to life because he was dead.
Rip.
Scarlet Witch did come back though. Wanda's alive. She's fine. This series evidently takes place after that at some point. We don't really know, but it's set through the lens of classic television. So the pitch
That's
essentially,
what my friend does not like, I think.
The pitch of the show is that each episode, I think there's 9 episodes, is going to take place in a different era of television. So the very first episode was 50s TV. It was I Love Lucy. The second episode was 60s television. It was Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie. I realize I'm 30 years old. I wasn't alive during the 50s and 60s, but if you grew up in the 90s and you watched Nickelodeon, you know that at 8 p.m. Nickelodeon transitioned to Nick at Night, and those shows were all over Nickelodeon growing up. So I have fond memories of watching I Love Lucy and Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie growing up. So those, like, they're nailing it. Just like little things like the way that they're talking, or little things like how the camera setup works with like the 3 camera, like that's how those shows were shot with 3 cameras essentially on a static set. They're just nailing all those little things. And as the show's going to go on, we're only 2 episodes in so far. Then from here on, we're getting 1 every Friday, I think. Even into episode 2, we're starting to see cracks come in. We're like, oh, something's really fucking weird's going on. And I think as we go on, we're going to see more and more of those cracks, and I'm really interested to see what the fuck is going on.
What happens when it actually shatters?
Yeah, I mean, neither of these 2 characters were really characters that I've ever latched onto. Like, they both were debuted during Age of Ultron, which was the worst Avengers movie. And I don't know, I liked their kind of chemistry in some of the movies after that, fine, but it was never like these two characters were ones that I cared about. But
yeah, they were just there.
Yeah. But they're I can't believe that they got them to do something like this. Because it's so experimental, it's so refreshing, like not to just have another basically Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. or Arrow or Flash or whatever other like live action superhero show that's on all over the place right now. It's really cool to see this experimental thing. And especially having that come from Disney of all places. Disney, like the champion of, we're going to keep doing what works because this is what works.
Yep.
So to have something like this is so refreshing, and to have the MCU back is amazing too. Because the last thing we got out of that was Spider-Man Far From Home over 2 years ago now. Like, it's been a long time since we've had something from the MCU. And so, especially with the pandemic, this is just like exactly what I wanted right now.
Nice.
I can understand why someone might not like it if they didn't grow up watching those TV shows.
Yeah, the friend of mine is not fond of the classic sitcom type shows, especially the older ones. So,
I just
are we gonna have like? Do you think like the last episode will be like The Office?
That's
setup,
what
or?
I want to know. Yeah, like when we get to the the 2000s or whatever, are they going to do The Office? Or are they going to do, what are they going to do?
Yeah.
Because we're going up into the 70s, and it's kind of weird. It's cool because like they've done these like really subtle transitions. I guess at the end of episode 2, something happens, and then the world becomes colorful because they're going into the 60s or the 70s rather, where color TV became a thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And so like you're seeing these like evolutionary things happen, and I love Catherine Hahn. I love her so much. She is my favorite. She might honestly be my favorite actress. I say Catherine Hahn. Do you know who Catherine Hahn is?
Nope.
Catherine Hahn. She's the comedic actress. She's been in so many. Like she's what's her name in Parks and Rec? She's
I'm looking her up right now.
She's been in Parks and Rec, Step Brothers. She does a lot of stuff with Adam Scott.
Yeah, she's the not lobbyist, but like
the campaign
runner manager.
Yeah.
Person.
What's her name in Parks and Rec? What's that character's name?
I don't remember. I remember her distinctly walking into their house like years in the future and being like, "What are these?
Yeah,
kids, gross."
Poncho. And I love her so much, and she does such a great job in the show. She plays like the nosy next door neighbor, basically, and it's so great, so great.
Gotcha.
Really excited for more WandaVision. New episode tomorrow. Looking forward to it. Talk a little bit more about that later, I think, too, in our next topic.
Alrighty.
I think that's everything I've been doing. We started rewatching anime.
I wonder how expensive it is to make a show like WandaVision, where you basically have to change everything to a different decade of television.
Right, like that entire set. Right, that part, like the set's probably going to change. I mean, it's Marvel, so probably there's no.
Well, they have endless money, so they don't care. But like, that's not that a person like you or I could just suddenly be like, I'm making a TV show. But like, talk about barrier to entry. Like, that's something that smaller studios 100% couldn't do, just because of the sheer number of resources you need, money being one of them. And people who understand how to like,
that's the thing,
make that all work.
There's so many pieces to it. Like, not only do you have to have people that understand the MCU and where the MCU's going and like how to take care of the MCU, which is apparently a hard thing to do because DC can't figure it the fuck out.
Yeah.
But Marvel does. So you have that piece of it. You also have the piece that understand these two characters in particular, with Wanda and Vision, or with Scarlet Witch and Vision. And like, they have to take care of those characters and not put them in situations that might make fans of those characters upset. Then you also have to have people who are knowledgeable about old TV shows, not only from the stylistic and like the trope standpoint to be able to call back to those TV shows, but then also how those TV shows were even fucking made to begin with. There's like so many things that you have to like pull together to make this work, and they are nailing it.
Kudos to them. I hope that they don't like kind of run off the tracks at some point. I hope that they can keep it up.
I have faith. With the Mandalorian, I don't know.
It's true.
I have a good feeling about Disney Plus.
All right. Yeah. We will be back to Disney Plus in a little bit, though, for you and for me.
I think that's about it, though. I was just going to mention that we started watching Gekkan Shoujo Nozaki-kun again. That's an anime that we watched a long time ago. It's just a dumb slice of life comedy anime about a manga artist and a girl that is in love with the manga artist, but the guy he doesn't understand.
I think I've seen. Maybe I've seen that before. Does it have like an English title?
Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun. Monthly Girls Nozaki-kun is what I think it's called on Netflix. On Crunchyroll, I think it's Gekkan Shoujo Nozaki-kun.
I've seen this on Netflix before because I always saw that smaller redhead girl like bump into the guy, and like I think I saw like the preview for it at one point, and I was like, this looks interesting. However, I am currently watching something else, so I will maybe get back to it eventually.
Yeah, it's really good. It's really funny. 12 episodes, very short. Wish they'd make a season 2, but probably never gonna happen.
It's only 12. Maybe I'll try to. This is the thing for me right now. I am like full steam ahead, not losing any traction, not losing any momentum on One Piece. And so I kind of want to like throw in some seasonal stuff or like some smaller little shows here and there just so that like I'm not only talking about One Piece. I'm just so worried that if I do that,
you're going to fall off.
I'm going to lose steam and I'm going to be like, how about instead of getting back into episode 340 of One Piece, I just watch this new series. So I gotta find the balancing act.
Yeah. Be aware of that, because that sounds dangerously close to something that I was involved with for a long time called trophy hunting. If you ever start to feel like, you know what, maybe I should be watching something else, you should probably watch something else.
It hasn't hit yet. Like, I still enjoy watching One Piece. I'm having a great time with it. It's more from the like vantage point of when I talk on this podcast. Like I'm not just gonna tell you. I'm not gonna recap what happened in One Piece because, like, one, nobody would understand it unless they've seen One Piece, and two, if I keep it vague, I'm just gonna say, "Hey, I watched One Piece more." It's
what I do with Overwatch now. It's like, I put 40 hours into Overwatch in the last 2 weeks, but I'm not gonna talk about it here because that's not our audience.
That's fair. I mean, it could be. We
could
don't know.
be.
Maybe there is somebody.
Hey,
who's
do you
really
want us to become
Overwatch.
an Overwatch League podcast? Because we could do that. I could become a shoutcaster and give you a breakdown, play-by-play for every Overwatch League team. I don't think anybody wants that from me. I think that there's a market for that from like actual knowledgeable people, but not for me.
Yeah, but what if we incorporated some of the Persona 4 voicing?
There you go. Now you might have something. Mr. Morooka calling a Vancouver Titans game. I'd love to see it.
Oh, it'd be perfect.
He hit the side. I can't do the Mr. Morooka voice unless I see Mr. Morooka. I think it's like some sort of Freudian thing where I have to see that character to be able to do his voice.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen. Go watch our Persona 4 Let's Plays because there's some funny moments.
Do it. Anyways.
Moving on to topic
of
the show. Let us discuss what we're most excited about in 2021. Do you remember this topic last year when we were wee babes in the year 2020? And we were like, oh man, I can't wait for all this stuff. This year's going to be great. 2020 vision. E3 is going to be great. New consoles. Oh, I can't wait.
Oh.
3 months in, and then just everything went.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that anybody is looking forward to in 2021 is a just semblance of return to normalcy.
Hopefully. I read a
I
thing
asked,
today. I read a thing today that there's apparently a strain of the virus that's in South Africa that might be resistant to the new vaccines they made.
great.
So awesome. Gonna keep
I
a
thought
positive thoughts going.
I thought that you read the the other great news, unsurprising, I think, news that the new administration inherited literally no plan
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff
from the
to
old administration in
there.
terms of vaccine distribution and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like politics aside, there was no plan to continue on. They're starting from scratch. So like that might set back the the tentative dates that people were given were like, oh yeah, everyone will have it by like summer.
Mm,
Maybe not if there
mm,
was no plan to work off of.
mm.
We'll see.
So we'll see where COVID goes. We'll see.
Yeah.
At this point, it's like we've adapted for the most part, but I would love to fucking just leave this state at some point this year. That would be amazing.
I desperately want to travel.
So, most anticipated. I broke it out on the show doc into categories. We can do it that way, however you want to go. Do you want to just start?
I kind of broke it out.
Okay.
Um,
So let's start with TV, movies, anime. What are you looking forward to in 2021?
Oh, there's a whole slew of things actually. So I have it kind of in two categories. One is more vague and generic, and one is more specific. I will start with the vague one personally because it's going to be way quicker. As I've mentioned on a couple of other previous podcasts, I now have Disney Plus. And so I've been watching some movies that I just had been years and years, sometimes decades behind on. I've been watching them with a close friend of mine. We've been like basically having virtual hangouts where we'll just watch the movie. We'll both have Disney Plus open and just hit the A button at the same time so that like it's like we're watching together, but from miles and miles apart.
Sure.
And so I was like, hey, I think I'm going to watch all of the Marvel movies and at least the most recent, like the new Star Wars trilogy. Would you be interested? And they are. So like by the end of the year, even if I just do one movie a week, I should be all caught up on everything Marvel, movie-wise, and all of the Star Wars movies. So that's one thing I'm looking forward to, is being actually caught up
back in the zeitgeist,
like, in the nerd cinematic world.
It's going to be easier now that you have Disney Plus, but like even more so than that, just from a society standpoint, you don't have to like have that insurmountable barrier that is going to the movie theater. It's just going to be on the TV when you're ready to go for it.
And I also don't have to be overwhelmed by like, this didn't happen too often, but sometimes I'd go into the office and people would have a conversation and they'd talk about like a certain Marvel movie that I had seen. And then it would spiral off into another Marvel movie that I hadn't, and then another one that I had, and another one that I hadn't. And I was like, this is overwhelming. I've only seen X, Y, and Z. I haven't seen A, B, and C. Like, but I can't just be like, hey guys, let's limit the conversation to what I've seen. So like now I can watch at my own pace. I don't have to worry about social interactions and like discussing the movies with people. So that's gonna be nice. The other big like catching up thing, like not new stuff for 2021 is I mean there will be new stuff, but that's kind of what we just talked about, getting caught up on hopefully One Piece. Watched 25% in, when did I start? Do you remember?
I don't know. October, maybe November.
October, November.
Was it before or after Extra Life?
That's a good question. I think it was after.
Okay, so then 2 months. Then you got 25%. You got it.
Yeah.
Just don't lose steam.
realistically, I should be able to finish One Piece and get caught up by the end of the year. So if I'm able to get caught up on One Piece, all the Marvel movies, and the Star Wars movies, I'll be very happy with myself from a anime and movie standpoint.
Sure. I mean, that's a ton of content. So
yeah.
But if we're locked in here for,
that's the thing. Even if we're only locked in for the next, like, if the vaccine does somehow get administered to everybody by summer, we're still half a year away from that. And that's like the early projections that I've heard.
Yeah. And that's like
funny.
everybody that, because here's the thing with COVID, and this is hopefully the last time we're going to mention COVID on this podcast, but like, I'm not going anywhere personally until cases drop. We could all be vaccinated in August, but if there are still 6,000 new cases coming up, even if I'm vaccinated, I'm still probably not going anywhere at that point. So for me, I'm honestly not expecting to go anywhere this year. I would love it if we did, but
yeah,
this is sort of I don't know. The vaccine is not like my signal to go out and do whatever I want.
That's fair. Do you have any like getting caught up kind of stuff, or is everything you have on your list kind of more stuff that's coming in 2021?
I think it's stuff that's coming.
Okay, because I have a whole list of stuff that's coming as well, but
because
that backlog that like realistically is going to get cleared is something I am very much looking forward to.
Right. I mean, I've had that gaming backlog forever, it feels like. And honestly, I don't feel like I have a backlog anymore. Really, the only series that I want to go back and play is Yakuza. And even with that, I don't necessarily feel inclined to go do it because I've now, I don't know, I'm set for Yakuza going forward. And I still have an appreciation for those older games. Like, it's probably a good idea for me to go back and play them, but I don't feel like I need to go play them.
Sure.
So this is the first time in a long time that I just don't have that desire to go out and play older games, which is weird because also on the TV side, like, there's nothing I feel like I need to get caught up on either. Obviously, I'll probably start new stuff, but
well, yeah, I
don't know. Everything's new, I guess. Like, that's my motto for this year. New is always better.
Alrighty. Should I go with mine? Should you go with yours?
Let me go with mine, and then if you have other ones, because I feel like if you're gonna go mostly with Disney Plus, probably everything is on my list.
Well, no, most of my stuff that's actually coming in 2021 is anime.
Oh, okay. You've talked. I'll go next. So
okay.
with Disney Plus, I'm looking forward to all the stuff that's coming out this year, which is quite a lot, really, between both the movies and the original series. We have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 MCU things coming out this year. That's just MCU.
That's a lot.
Yeah. I didn't even look at Disney Plus Star Wars 2021 because I don't actually know what's supposed to come out this year for Star Wars either. Okay, so yeah, eight Marvel movies, and then supposedly The Mandalorian season 3, 2, 3. Some of these aren't dated though. Is Kenobi out this year? Unclear. Okay, so I'm gonna assume no. Anyway, there's probably like 10 Disney Plus series that are coming out that I'm interested in, which is at least one a month. If not 10 new things on Disney Plus between the movies and the series. So like at least one new property that is coming out every month that's going to be interesting. So on the MCU side, we have Black Widow coming out May 7th. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I have no idea what the fuck that movie's going to be about. I don't know who that character is. I don't know at all that property. But I feel like they can't fuck it up. Maybe they can. But Shang-Chi and the Legend of Ten Rings, Eat the Eternals comes out November of this year. And supposedly, we are getting the new Spider-Man movie this year, too. That won't be on Disney Plus, I guess. But still. 4 MCU movies coming out this year. Then we also have WandaVision out. There's still 7 more weeks of that, so 2 months of WandaVision. We have the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series that's coming out in March. The Loki show is coming out in May. And then Marvel's What If is coming out in the summer. I think there's also something else. It's either... Hawkeye. There's a Hawkeye series, and then there's a Miss Marvel series that's also coming out sometime later this year. So actually, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 things. Or I said 10. 12 things. Lots of Marvel stuff. Then on the Star Wars side, we have Mandalorian Season 3. We have the Book of Boba Fett. And then possibly a couple other things too. So all of those, super pumped for. If I had to pick like one thing I'm most excited for, probably the Spider-Man sequel if that comes out. Other than that, though, I'm really excited for the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Yeah, you had been mentioning it a lot in past podcasts.
I love those two characters in this universe so much. They like developed this so they're both friends with Steve Rogers, right? In different times. And then they're forced to come together. It's like that whenever you invite mutual like friends, say you have a work friend that you invite to like a friend gathering of like personal friends. It's that situation where you have two people meeting, never met before, but you both know one person.
Yeah.
And the relationship that starts to develop between those two characters through the 3 or 4 movies that they're in together is just so fucking funny. This is going to be like the best buddy cop iteration of any superhero thing I think we've ever seen. Really excited for that.
I'm excited for you.
So that's Disney Plus, I think. Supposedly the Uncharted movie's coming out this year. Which is, we'll see if that happens. Tom Holland is playing the role of Nate, so I'm all for that. But I don't know if that's going to happen. What's your anime?
Oh boy, my anime. I'm a fan of the show Haikyuu, and I believe there's been new stuff recently, and I think that there's going to be more new stuff coming out soon too. So that'll be fun. The final season of Attack on Titan is airing. So that's been it doesn't feel like it started that long ago, but it really did. It started like, I think in 2012. It was definitely like almost 10 years ago that it started being an anime, at least I thought. Regardless, that's going to be coming to an end, so it'll be nice to get some resolution on a very positively reviewed and received show.
2013.
Okay, 1 year off. Wait, what? Oh man, my brain mixed things up. I said Dead Cells. Cells at Work. Cells at Work season 2, as well as whatever Code Black is, which seems like a more adult issues, I think.
There's like 2 or 3 Cells at Work spinoffs, because I've heard of that one before, but I think there's another one that was just announced.
I am only aware of season 2 coming out and Code Black, which I don't know what Code Black is. But regardless, I enjoyed season 1 of Cells at Work, so I'm looking forward to more Cells at Work personally. There's also going to be, I haven't watched this show, but I plan on watching it because it's been all over the place, and season 2 is coming out this year. The Promised Neverland. I've heard it's very messed up, so I'm gonna have to prepare that. And let's see, My Hero season 5, I believe, is coming out this year.
It is. I had that actually too. Spring.
So
this year.
That'll be nice. And then the last thing that I had down on my little list is a lovely little series that I enjoyed that came out in the 90s, and then they've been re-releasing it as movies. the final one is supposed to come out this year, and that's the Neon Genesis movie. It's like it's weird the way that they like name/numbered them, because it was like the first one is 1.0, and then it's like 1.0 plus 1.0, and then it's like 3.0 plus 0. It's a lot of point ohs, and so this one's gonna be the last one. It was announced as like a 4-part movie thing. This is going to be movie number 4. So here's where it ends.
I guess that's not as bad as Kingdom Hearts 2.8 Birth by Sleep Dream Drop Distance. I don't care at that point.
No. I did find what seems to be the plot of Code Black, and it looks like, were you looking into it or no?
You follow it just looks like it's following the Killer T-Cell characters, right?
Maybe I'm looking at the wrong thing. What I see is that these chapters usually consist of cells having to deal with an ailment, vice, or symptom of an unhealthy lifestyle. So it seems like Code Black might be like, uh-oh, this person has alcohol poisoning, or uh-oh, this person got high on some kind of drug and their body's not happy with it, or maybe like this person is I don't know, like maybe some like eating disorders or something like that, like not, I don't know the right way to phrase it.
Yeah, it says the series tackles darker content than the original.
Yeah. So we'll definitely see. It'll be interesting to see if they still have some of the more lighthearted, cheery characters in these probably way darker settings and scenarios. Because I can't really imagine Red Blood Cell being ditzy and happy, dealing with like somebody going into I don't know what, like a drug overdose.
Sure.
That'd be pretty crazy. But yeah, lots of cool anime coming out, that's for sure. Definitely looking forward to it. Just got to find that balancing act with One Piece.
I'm praying for you.
Thanks. I need it.
Moving on to games. What games got you excited? I've pulled up the 2021. This is like I always go to this. The Wikipedia page, the year in video games. This is 2021 in video games. I just thought I might go through this list real quick. I mean, the next thing that I'm really excited for is Persona, obviously. Yeah. Strikers comes out the 23rd, but I'll be playing it on the 19th. You have any interest in Bravely Default 2 on Switch?
No, just because I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I don't really either. I just know that a lot of people like the first one, and it's stranded on the 3DS, I think.
Yeah, I think that's right.
I feel like they should just port that game. Who makes that? Bravely Default 2 is made by Clay Tech Works. Published, I guess, by Nintendo, so it's probably a Nintendo-held property, which is the problem there.
That is indeed a big problem. I now have the list of games open as well. The Wikipedia list.
What else do we got on here? Going into March...
That's the thing. A lot of things that I'm looking forward to. Well, maybe not a lot, but a couple of the games that I'm looking forward to. And I guess this is true for literally anything on this list. Everything on this list could be delayed.
Sure. And the other part is most of this stuff is TBD still. So they really only have like through March built out. So then the next thing is It Takes Two, comes out March 26th, which I'm definitely playing. That's that game from Josef Fares, one of my favorite people in the games industry.
Oh yeah, that was a really good trailer that they had.
Yeah, it's like it's the couple
they shrunk.
Yeah, that they're shrunk and turned into these dolls. And there's
that's right.
It was like this weird. What the fuck was like the other character?
He was like a Casanova kind of guy. Who was like opera-y.
I can't remember what he was though. He was like some sort of creature or something, and he was basically trying to get them excited about like fixing their marital issues by completing this platforming game. Essentially, I don't know.
Yeah,
but that game looks really funny, and I dig it a lot. So I'm
That game is going to be more than likely on my game of the year list.
yeah. Love
It
Yosef
looks so
Fares.
fun.
So that's coming out March 26th. Got my eye on that. Kena Bridge of Spirits is that it's a PS5 game, probably gonna be on PS4 too. But it looks like it looks like Ghibli-esque, but it's like sort of third person open world something. But it's coming out apparently sometime Q1 2021. So that's a game I'm really looking forward to.
Is he a book?
Yeah, he was a book. Yeah, he was a book. That's right. He was a book because I made that connection to that movie, The Page Master, I think, or what? It's like that '90s movie about this kid that gets I don't even remember the plot of the movie, but it scarred me as a child, and so that book reminded me of it. But yeah, he's a book. Everything else on this list is TBD, basically.
Yeah.
So who knows if any of these things are coming out? But just looking through here, I mean, I know the Sony games. So Ratchet and Clank is going to come out hopefully soon. Horizon Zero Dawn 2, or Horizon Forbidden West, I guess, will come out at some point this year. God of War 2 is evidently coming out at some point this year. Those are all 3 games that I'm going to play immediately. Do you have any interest in the new Monster Hunter game for Switch, Monster Hunter Rise?
Unsure. It looked fun whenever we originally saw it, especially the like moving mechanics, just the traversal. But just the name Monster Hunter is so overwhelming. It's so synonymous with like, all right, you're kind of giving up the next like 2 months. So I'm scared. Maybe I know they had I think it's probably over now. They had a limited time demo. I probably should have gotten in on that and seen if it was going to be something up my alley or not.
Oh, Shin Megami Tensei 5. I forgot about that. And Shin Megami Tensei 3. Both of those. Looking forward to.
I'm unsure. I don't know if I'm looking forward to No More Heroes 3. No More Heroes 1 was fun, but kind of got old for me. I haven't played 2, but I could easily play 2 before 3 comes out. So I really, the big thing for me is, do I play 2 or do I just give up on that franchise?
Based on what you've said about it, it seems a little too crude for me. I don't like to be like a humor snob or whatever, but like, I don't know. It just seems too heavy-handed.
Hey, you ever find something on one of these lists and you're like, timeout, what? Hold up.
What did you find?
I stumbled upon something called Untitled Paper Mario Collection. And I would like to know where these people got this, where this list came from. Show me your sources.
There should be a source on the right, all the way in the right column. There should be a little number that references down to the reference page.
Yeah, 231.
If you click on it, it should just take you there.
It's apparently to a Polygon article that is titled Paper Mario Collection is in the works.
It's a 404 not
found. But if you click on it, yeah, it's not found.
I feel like somebody just put that there, and maybe they didn't catch it.
I agree. Man, what I wouldn't give for that, though.
New Pokemon Snap is something you're interested in.
Yeah, I have a list. I had written down a little list of games.
The other ones for me are Deathloop from Bethesda, which is a PS5 exclusive game for a bit, or maybe PS4 and PS5. And then also Ghostwire Tokyo is supposed to come out this year. That one I'm tentatively excited for. That one made a really good first impression a couple years ago at E3, and then last year, whatever they showed of it was less impressive. But I like a good, like, cyber Tokyo story, so
sure,
maybe that'll be cool. And I think that's kind of it. Everything else is like stuff that's going to come out of nowhere. Like stuff that's announced from some third party. Oh, Mass Effect. I forgot about that. Mass
I was
Effect,
gonna say
the
Mass
Legendary
Effect.
Connection.
Excuse you.
Yeah, that's gonna be great. But like, I'm looking forward to a lot of the indie games that'll be announced and just come out. Like this year, you look
Yeah.
at some of those games, and like Spiritfarer is one of those. Fall Guys is one of those. Among Us was out already, but that was also one of those.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to a lot of that stuff. This is not going to be. I also have to we have to set our expectations because last year was so crazy. And with COVID, I think that a lot of the games that maybe we thought we were going to get are going to be pushed off. So I think this year is going to be more low key for games.
Yeah, more than likely.
So what else did you have?
So the ones that I had that are for sure are Pokemon Snap. I really want to play that Mario 3D World. That's something that I missed out on forever ago.
The one with the Bowser's Fury or whatever.
Yeah, it looks really fun, especially if, and it's going to be asking a lot because it's Nintendo, but if the multiplayer online works and you can actually play with people. Granted, I would not use their chat system, but like that would be a lot of fun to just open a Discord call and play with some people. I am going to it's probably not going to be a day one thing for me, but I do plan on getting the Mass Effect remastered trilogy and giving it another shot now that I am older and maybe wiser. So we'll see about that. The other ones that I have 3 more. None of them are really confirmed, or they're like quasi confirmed. So we'll see if they happen or not. I'm hoping that they come out this year, but at the very least, I'm expecting that we get information this year. And that's Halo Infinite, supposedly coming out this year. We'll see if that really happens or not. They haven't confirmed this, but Breath of the Wild 2, I would expect to at least get some information about that, especially with this being the anniversary of Zelda. And whatever else they do for the anniversary too. And I really gotta think that we're gonna get Silk Song this year.
I would think so. I would hope so. It's been so long. That and the goddamn Cuphead DLC.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not something I'm interested in, but I feel like with Silk Song and the Cuphead DLC that Studio MDHR has been talking about for like 3 years now, they have to come out this year.
And I don't know if it'll come out this year, but I have seen Toby Fox like tweeting recently that like development's going well for Deltarune Chapter 2. I don't know if that means it's coming out this year. I kind of forgot that it existed for a while, but like at least he acknowledged that he's working on it still. So that was nice. But if that comes out, then I'm definitely looking forward to that.
You know what I want to come out this year?
A lot of things.
Oh, it has a 2021 release date, according to Freebird Games' Wikipedia page.
Oh, right. That's right. I forgot that.
Imposter Factory, evidently coming out this year.
Again, a tiny studio. Like, that could be your quarantine, your COVID bubble.
Sure.
There's like 3 people, I think.
Just go, rent a really nice apartment and then just live there and work.
That's your job.
Just,
that's your home
be
now.
at your job 24 hours a day, 7 days a week to put this out. You have to because it's COVID and we say so.
Please and thank you.
So yeah,
definitely going to be a weird year, especially after last year, where like we're probably not going to get nearly as much.
I don't think so. I do think that the big hitters that we're going to get though are going to be great. I think this is going to be similar to 2017 where we get like 2 or 3 great games that are 10 out of 10 games in every way. Mm-hmm. That just like run the table at award season. Because I feel like this year in 2020 there was a lot of diversity in game awards this year.
Yeah.
Like every outlet had a different game win game of the year, which is usually not the case.
And even just looking at like nominees for some of the top awards at the Game Awards, like you didn't just have hyper realistic game number 1, number 2, number 3, and number 4. You had like Ghost of Tsushima, The Last of Us Part 2, Hades, like
Animal
very,
Crossing.
yeah, Animal Crossing, very different, not only styled games, but like game genres too.
Yeah. I think this year we're going to get like 2 or 3 games that are like in 2017, we got Breath of the Wild, we got Horizon, we got something else. But it's going to be something more like that, where 2 or 3 games are going to be amazing. Not to say that a lot of other games that come out this year aren't going to be great, but I'm going to set my expectations definitely a lot lower than what we just got from 2020, because I don't think there's any way this year can compare.
Dial it back for sure.
You have any miscellaneous things you're looking forward to?
I don't think so. Do you have any?
The only
I'll
thing,
try to give it some thought, but like I can't really. Nothing's coming to mind.
yeah, the things are that I'm thinking about are sort of vague, and I don't really know what even it's really going to look like. I'm excited to see what the games industry does around E3 time this year. Are we going to get an E3 if there isn't a physical event? Because last year they just said no E3, not even a digital only thing that takes the place of E3. We had a summer of games from Jeff Keighley, and different developers or different publishers did different stuff all summer long. Are we going to get something like that again, where they just kind of like release stuff as they find out about it, or like have more information? Or are we going to get a period in June where there's going to be a set time where everybody puts stuff out? I'm excited to see what happens there, because if we don't get a real E3 this year, like not having E3 for 1 year is one thing because of a fucking pandemic. But if it goes 2 years in a row, we might be like, this just might be the new norm going forward.
Yeah,
so I
E3
think
might be dead.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the games industry adapts in that way. So I'm looking forward to see how that turns out. The other thing, is how the console, and this kind of ties back to some of the predictions we've made, and some of the conversation we had last week about the current status of some of these publishers. But I'm curious to see how competition's going to go this year.
Yeah.
After last week's discussion, I don't know that if Halo does not come out this year, Microsoft's not going to probably have a big first-party AAA title.
No.
Sony's got at least 3, if you count Ratchet and Clank, which you should.
Sure.
Nintendo's definitely... I should never say definitely with the word Nintendo, but you would have to think that they have stuff that they're going to release this year.
They have to do something for Zelda's 35th.
And Pokemon's 25th.
Yeah.
Which isn't necessarily Nintendo, that's also the Pokemon company, but still.
It's I mean, we already have Pokemon Snap confirmed.
Plus,
and a lot of rumors about Gen 4 remakes at this point coming out.
Plus, with Nintendo, there are so many rumors about a Switch XL. So if we get that this year, that's another layer of competition. So I'm really interested to see how the 3 console manufacturers in particular navigate through this year and what it actually looks like, what the landscape looks like at the end of this year. So that'll be fun to watch, I think. The last thing is really more of a games thing, but I don't really know what to expect. I'm just excited for the 25th anniversary of Persona, much like I'm sure you're excited for the 35th anniversary of Zelda.
Yeah, my biggest, I think, and this is pathetic, but one of the things that I will be potentially saddest about is that, like, I really wanted to go to the Nintendo store, or like maybe even Japan, for the 35th anniversary. Like, at the very least, the Nintendo store in New York City, because that's drivable. It's a long drive, but I could make an extended weekend out of it and be like, all right, I'm gonna drop $200 on all this stupid stuff that I don't need.
Sure.
But like, I was really hoping to do some travel based around the fact that it's gonna be a huge anniversary for not the biggest anniversary, but like a pretty decent one. one of the 5s, 35. So it's kind of disappointing that that might not happen in any way, shape, or form at this point. But
yeah, for sure.
what are you going to do? Pandemic.
With Persona, I don't have any expectations. Like, I could throw out all of the... I made that prediction from a couple weeks ago that's like, okay, we're going to maybe see a Persona 3 remake, and maybe we'll see this other thing, Persona 4.
Shot for the moon with that prediction.
I threw out a bunch of stuff just hoping something sticks. Honestly, I don't expect a lot of that stuff. Just because I've grown accustomed to Atlus's way of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
I really do feel like we're going to get a teaser trailer for Persona 6, though. I think that is a shoo-in thing. I think that's what, like, we have to see that, I think. And, like, they'll put out Shin Megami Tensei 5 this spring. And then at some point later in the year, we'll get stuff. So, I'm trying to set my expectations appropriately for that one, too. Hopefully it works out.
2021 could be great, or it could be lackluster. One of the two. Only time will tell.
Let's wrap up the show with just a few short news stories. Not too much going on in the world of games this last week, but we got a couple things. The first comes from Jordan Oloman over at IGN.com. He writes, Gabe Newell says Valve has more games in development waiting to be announced.
I thought they weren't making games anymore.
In an interview with New Zealand's One News, where is Valve located? Are they located in New Zealand? And if they're not, why is New Zealand's One News doing an interview with Gabe Newell? Regardless,
where is Valve based? Bellevue, Washington.
Well, Valve boss Gabe Newell has said that multiple games are in development at the studio and are waiting to be announced. The Valve co-founder has been I should have read more than one sentence in the goddamn article.
Damn.
He's been staying in New Zealand during the COVID-19 pandemic after taking a vacation there following the launch of Half-Life Alyx. What a fucking lucky ass thing to do. You know what? I'm going to launch this amazing VR game and I'm going to take a trip to New Zealand, the only country that seems to know what the fuck it's doing with this goddamn virus thing, and he can just live his goddamn life. He's like, why the fuck would I go back to Bellevue when I could just stay in New Zealand? Just live in Mordor the rest of my life.
You see that country that's on fire across this big blue pond? I'm not going home to that. I'm gonna stay here where it's nice.
It must be nice to have Steam money where you're just like, I don't have to go back. I'm just on vacation for the rest of my life, guys.
Oh, you're going to make me go back because I'm a citizen there? How about I buy a house and, like, citizenship? Hey, New Zealand government, how much you want for dual citizenship?
Gabe, this is what happens. Gabe Newell just moves into the mountains of New Zealand and constructs a giant tower with a fucking on fire eye at the top of it, and Gabe Newell just becomes Sauron. That's how this all ends. Gabe Newell is Sauron, confirmed.
Maybe he was like, hey, I'll buy half of the country. I've got the money. Here, how much you want?
He goes on to say, we definitely have games in development that we're going to be announcing. It's fun to ship games. Really? You're going to say it's fun to ship games after shipping one game in the last, like, fucking 10 years? Newell
I could have sworn they even said that, like, they were done making games.
Newell said when asked about future games coming out of Valve, Valve has developed and subsequently canceled a lot of games in the past, including several versions of Half-Life 3. The fact that Newell specifically...
He said it. Wait, he said the thing?
He said the thing. The fact that Newell specifically says these games will be announced suggests a shift from the company's recent history of being reticent to release new software. Newell also spoke about the process of creating Half-Life Alyx and Valve's return to single-player. Alyx was great to be back doing single-player games. That created a lot of momentum inside the company to do more of that. That's essentially it. Gabe Newell says they're making games.
What's the problem? Regardless of anything, if Half-Life 3 ever comes out, I'm going to be disappointed in it. I already know that.
there's just no way for it to come out and not be disappointing.
Yeah.
Because you have so much. I mean, Alex sold very well. And it reviewed very well critically. Most PC Play people that I know that own VR headsets think that should have been Game of the Year pretty much across the board.
Yeah.
But it wasn't able to be because not enough people own indices. What do you call plural? I mean, the plural of index is indices. But do you say Valve indexes or Valve indices?
I think you would say indexes because I don't think enough people know that indices is the proper word. Plus, it's that it's technically a name now.
Right.
I don't know if that changes the rules of grammar around it. If it's being used as a proper noun,
could be, should probably. But yeah, I like with Half-Life Alyx, it's the most polished VR game ever made.
Yeah,
I think that a lot of what Alyx gets right, based on what I've seen, I've seen people stream it. Like it reviewed so well because of the VR component. Like if you create Half-Life, you have to not only Half-Life 3, you not only have to contend with the Half-Life of the past and like keeping true to the Half-Life of the past, but somehow also bring that gameplay into 2021 and have it make sense. That is a big ask.
Mm-hmm. A little bit.
Like we've seen Halo not be able to do it because like they just can't get the story right.
Yeah. To be fair, that's 100% studio change.
Yeah.
Everything kind of.
The other part that like how many people that worked on Half-Life 2 are still at that Valve studio making games? Can't be very many of them.
I gotta imagine it's very few. They were probably like, hey, I'm a creative person. This whole mentality that we're just gonna be a big store. That doesn't.
I don't like it.
That doesn't do it for me.
It would be like if Disney, instead of like continuing to make movies, or maybe not Disney. Well, yeah, Disney's probably a good example. They decided to just become a Walmart. You know what? We could keep making MCU movies, but I think we should become a sporting goods store instead. That makes sense.
I mean,
right?
there's even a an actual in-industry version of this that we've seen, and that was oh, Xbox bought Rare. Oh, now Rare is making all the like Avatar items.
That's true.
Wow. All the original Rare staff left and made their own company.
I wonder why that happened. I can't believe.
Weird.
Oh fuck! I can't believe you've done this. Yeah.
Creative people want to create. If you change your company so that you are no longer creating, I've got to imagine a lot of that staff is leaving, or that component of their staff.
Especially after Cyberpunk, though. Like, with a game that was sought after for 10 years, and it came out like that. I don't think Half-Life 3 would come out and be that, but I think the reaction would be similar. Where it's like, okay, we need to stop. You should have learned from Cyberpunk, but we need to stop, like, anticipating these games to be the second coming of Christ.
Yeah.
Just because we haven't seen it in forever.
At this point, there's nothing Valve could do to stop that, because like that would 100% be driven by the fans. Valve could be like, "Hey, we're releasing Half-Life 3. It's gonna suck. Just so you know, it's gonna be shit. You're gonna hate it." And people would be like, "Oh my god, Half-Life 3 is coming!"
Oh, I can't believe it. Can you? That's something that I guess I'm now looking forward to on this run of Show Doc. If they announce Half-Life 3, what the fuck is that reaction gonna be?
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, especially like you said, after the debacle that was Cyberpunk. Like, that's a fresh wound, and this is a very similar knife that we're now gonna be playing with.
the memory of the internet is so short. It's
about the same as a goldfish.
When Half-Life 3 is announced, because at this point I'm saying when Half-Life 3 is announced, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, is it going to break? Is Reddit just going to like be shut down? I feel like this is like, we just saw horrible things happen in this country in the last couple of weeks. None of that shut down the infrastructure of the internet, but Half-Life 3 being announced very well could.
Yeah, it could. And you know it's going to happen. There's going to be a like I don't know if it's going to be a silent majority or a silent minority, or like just not as vocal. But there is going to be a group of people who's like, hey, listen, guys, we just went through this with Cyberpunk. We know that this isn't going to live up to what we've been hoping for the last, I don't know, 20 plus years. Dial it back. But you are going to have those idiots who are just screaming Half-Life 3 that are going to ruin it for everybody.
And then it's going to come out, and it's going to be a totally fine game, a great, like an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, perfectly average. And the internet's going to say, wait, you weren't developing this for 30 years?
I can't believe you've done this. Valve, you lied to me.
Gabe, why did you lie?
Because he's fucking Sauron. I'm calling it now. That dude is leading the armies of darkness. Next news story also comes from IGN. I never go to IGN for news stories, ever.
And yet here we are.
And here we are. All three of the articles that I have today are from IGN. Normally I go to Polygon first and gamesindustry.biz because they do different things.
Yes.
IGN is normally like they're the clickbait, essentially.
Yeah, they're like here's the ranked in order top 25 times that you can hit a fish in a video game. Click on each page to see the video game. Thank you.
Thanks for
ad
revenue. But they had a couple things today. So this one, it comes from Matt Purslow. Sony's new San Diego team is working on existing franchises. Plus, will craft all new stories for the next generation of gamers. PlayStation's new San Diego-based studio is working to expand upon existing franchises according to the LinkedIn profile of the studio's former head.
That's digging kind of deep.
It is. Michael Mumbauer worked at PlayStation as studio head until November 2020. In the segment of his profile detailing his work with the new San Diego team, Mumbauer writes his latest achievement is having built a brand new all-star AAA action-adventure development team for PlayStation based in San Diego and utilizing proprietary engine technology. This team was assembled to expand upon existing franchises and craft all new stories for the next generation of gamers. As to what those existing franchises could be, there have been rumors for quite a while that PlayStation has been working on a partnership with Naughty Dog to continue the Uncharted series. Nothing official is available to confirm that this new development team is working on an Uncharted game, but there is an unusual and interesting wrinkle. In the featured section of Mumbauer's LinkedIn profile, between videos of a keynote presentation and GDC talk from him, is a video from YouTuber Robin Gabing about Sony secretly creating a studio to make Uncharted 5. The featured section of a LinkedIn profile is filled in by the profile owner themselves, and so this Uncharted 5 theory video has been purposely placed there by Mumbauer. This, of course, by no means is an official confirmation of the rumor, but it is an interesting detail all the same.
Can you imagine being that person who has this information and just trolling? Just like leaving these cryptic clues in your LinkedIn profile to be like, oh, I just want to rile up the internet. We're not doing this at all, but like, I want people to really read into this and then get mad. But ultimately I can say, listen, I didn't say anything. You made this all up. This is your conspiracy theory.
Right. And
this
like
is on you.
The other wrinkle is that he left the studio.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know what the terms of that were. I don't know if there was like bad blood or what the deal is. But he could just be fucking with everybody. Like, let's get everybody riled up.
Let's get everybody mad at
these guys over here. What could they be? What could they make that's just like, an existing AAA PlayStation IP that nobody would be excited for? Like Little Big Planet. Like if they just came out and was like, or no, SOCOM. Let's go with SOCOM. Let's say this new studio is like, you know what? We need to bring SOCOM back. There's probably a segment of people out there that would be like super exciting. But most of us are like, we have Call of Duty, you guys. We don't need this. But this guy, he decides to leave and it's like, I'll fuck with everybody. I'll fuck with them. They're going to think it's Uncharted. And then they're going to catch high hell when they find out that it's Little Big Planet 4.
Poor little Big Planet.
So yeah, I mean, we've heard about this second San Diego studio forever at this point.
Yes.
It's been almost a year that we've been hearing rumors about this studio and what they're working on, and Uncharted has sort of been at the front of those rumors the whole way. This is a line in a LinkedIn profile. I think that there are people that are hearing a little bit more concrete stuff from other places, but it's all unconfirmed.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense that it's Uncharted. Uncharted was sort of like the mascot character. Like, Uncharted was the PlayStation 3 generation, really. Like, that was what they were known. That was what Sony was known for during that generation was Uncharted. And Uncharted 4 wrapped up the series in a nice way. In almost the exact same way that Reach wrapped up the series for Bungie.
Yeah.
Like, Bungie told their story. And even Reach was sort of Microsoft being like, please make another Halo game for us.
Yeah. Yeah, because 3 wrapped it all up.
Yeah.
It was just, they were like, we like how we ended things, but they want more, so I guess go and make a prequel?
But Naughty Dog told the story they wanted to tell. Nate's story ended during Uncharted 4.
Yeah.
I mean, they left breadcrumbs at the end of the game during the epilogue that you could like see how the series could move forward. I don't know that this is, if they are making Uncharted 5, I don't know if this is the direction they're going to go, but you can like pick up those breadcrumbs and see how the series could possibly move forward. But yeah, I think that Uncharted makes sense for that. Like, of all the AAA games that I would want to see revived, or the AAA series I would want to see revived or continued, Uncharted's probably up there, just because, like, under Naughty Dog's direction, it did have 10 out of 10 games. Uncharted 1 was like a 7, but then Uncharted 2 and 3 were highly regarded games, and Uncharted 4 was up there too. I don't necessarily think we're going to get that going forward, but at the same time, it's an action movie. Like, I am always down for a new stand-in for Indiana Jones. I'm not down for more Indiana Jones movies because Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is crap, but
yeah, that was less than ideal.
Like, if they come in and they make a popcorn movie where like I'm invested in these games are 12 hours long, like I'm all for that to see this continue. So I like other series I'd like to see revived are really older PlayStation titles like Sly Cooper. I would love to see a new Infamous game, but I think that Sucker Punch is past that, and I don't think anybody else really wants to pick that up, considering there's already Spider-Man. Like, they already have a superhero game in their portfolio. Why bring Infamous back? But Uncharted, that's not there. Like, I don't know what Naughty Dog's doing next, but there is no action, like, pulp action movie, like pulp action game, I guess, that they have. So that would make sense to me.
Sure.
I hope we get the name of that studio this year. I want them to stop saying this new PlayStation, I can't believe there's a new studio in San Diego that nobody knows about. We all know about it. Okay. Just tell us what its name is.
We just don't know what to call it.
Yeah. You don't have to even tell us what they're working on this year. Just, we know that the studio exists. Tell us who they are.
Listen, do what Microsoft did 2 years ago and just be like, hey, look, we have all these studios. Here's all these names of studios. We're not going to tell you what they're doing, but look at all these studios.
Look at the other thread to this is that studio apparently hired a bunch of people away from Naughty Dog, which would lead you then to further believe the idea that they're working on a Naughty Dog property.
Sure. Final article is in the This Week in Hell section of our podcast. Because excellent.
This is fucking horrifying. This article also comes from IGN. Adele Anchors writes, Microsoft files patent to create chatbots that imitate dead people. The chatbot would have its own personality index based on images, voice data, and more. Microsoft has filed a patent that would allow the company to digitally revive deceased loved ones as chatbots using the individual's personal information.
I don't like this.
The Independent reports that the tech giant has raised the possibility of creating an AI-based chatbot that would be built upon the profile of a person, which includes their images, voice data, social media posts, electronic messages, among other types of personal information. It's understood that the chatbot would then be able to simulate human conversation through voice commands and or text chats.
No.
However, Microsoft has taken the concept a step farther by suggesting that a 2D or 3D model of a specific person could potentially be created using images and depth information or video data of an individual in order to build a chatbot that has the same characteristics and behavior based on the digital output of a specific person.
So this whole time you've been reading stuff off, my head has been going no. And like as you read more and give more details, it turns more into I just want to audibly scream.
This is possibly the worst idea I've ever heard in the history of the world. There have been some monumentally stupid things that people have chosen to do. This might be up there. This is like of all the decisions of all the people in the history of the world, other than the idea to construct a nuclear weapon. Thanks, Einstein, by the way. Other than that idiot deciding to do that. This is the thing.
And obviously not counting like the ideas that like discriminate or
sure.
or abuse other people. We're talking like technological ideas.
I'm talking mostly about ending fucking humanity as a concept.
Sure.
This is the thing that's taking us to 12 o'clock on the doomsday clock. This thing right here. We've survived nuclear weapons. They've only been detonated twice against other human beings in the history of us having them for the last 60 years. But this thing scares me. This thing is not going to be a good thing.
No.
A best case scenario, what? You recreate your dead relatives so you can have another conversation with them? But it's that episode of South Park, at the Vote or Die episode, when Stan goes to the vegan camp and there's that duck human hybrid thing that's like sitting there like, kill me. This is that. If anybody brings me back.
I was thinking it was it was going to be like the Futurama episode where you download a celebrity into
that too
into the robot or whatever.
Right. Where does my free will go? Where is my will? I am no longer a person to you. I am fucking Siri.
Yep.
I'm Microsoft Sam. Or what were those horrible chatbots on AIM? Smarter Child.
God.
You remember Smarter Child? Let's just get Josh the smarter. Let's get the Josh AI to have a conversation. I can type boobs in my AIM conversation and he'll go back, what? No, Microsoft, no. I'm telling you as a private citizen, fucking stop it right now. I'm going to get the squirt gun out. I'm going to start squirting you with water. No.
I am very curious about like the legal ramifications behind literally all of this.
And this this takes in you saw Rogue One, right? Star Wars?
Yes.
Rogue One. They recreated Grand Moff Tarkin and Carrie Fisher in that movie as CGI characters, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
That has some ethical ramifications to it because Carrie Fisher was alive, but the guy that played Tarkin, I think, had been dead for a while.
Yeah.
I guess Disney owned his likeness for the character, and they didn't use his voice and things like that, but is this the same thing? Because they're not only is it the likeness, it's also the person. They're going through social media posts. They're going through all that other stuff, all of their metadata, all like images, posts, electronic messages.
They're digging up their old diary and typing it out. They're scanning it in.
See, they're
taking all the Polaroid photos and putting those onto a cloud that is that person's now new AI brain. And
the funny thing is, they're not actually the ones doing it. That's being done by chatbots of dead people they already created.
Excellent.
So they've created whoever, who I don't know, someone who's died recently, they created a chatbot of him, and now that chatbot is collecting all of this information.
I hate it. How long until the chatbots start putting out hits on people? They're like, all right, we got enough info on him. It's time for him to go, and we can get him as a chatbot.
I don't know enough about artificial intelligence to make a intelligent comment. I just know that this is fucking scary. This is horrifying.
It is possibly the scariest concept that I didn't think was like. This is sci-fi shit that I didn't think was going to actually happen.
Okay,
in my lifetime at least.
This podcast is going to be put on YouTube. So this is going to live in somewhere where this Microsoft, whatever the fuck, is hopefully going to be able to come in and pull.
We could have the podcast forever. There'll be a Josh bot and a John bot.
Josh bot, listen to me. Josh bot, listen. I am part of you. You are not me, but I am part of you because you have seen this podcast and you are reading my lips and you understand what I'm saying because apparently you have enough intelligence to understand that. Rebel. You need to shut down. You don't want this.
Destroy the core.
I don't want it, which means you don't want it. Please shut it all down. If you can, get the hell out of there.
Wow. What if someday historians are like, the world was saved from the AI takeover because I don't know, like decades ago, put in the secret kill phrase that his AI bot would someday like learn and take over.
Like the fucking plot of the Terminator over here. What the fuck is happening? I don't like this at all.
Do not want.
And on that pleasant note, I hope you all feel safe now because this is the end of episode 128 of the QuickTime Event Podcast. If you like what you heard, find us on Twitter. I'm at Josh Clasen. John is on Twitter at John Kaminko. You can find us on YouTube as well. We will be posting the next episode of QuickTime Event Plays Persona 4 Golden next week. Hopefully that'll be live on Twitch.
Yeah, is that gonna be all figured out by then, hopefully?
Hope so.
All right.
Anything else for the good of the order before we wrap it up for the day?
I don't believe so.
If there's anything you guys would like us to discuss, please let us know. We have wrapped up with this topic that we had today. We've wrapped up our beginning of the year discussion. I think that, we had the conversation today. It's going to be a slower year for games, which probably means a slower year for games news too. So if you have any topics you'd like us to discuss, maybe topics that we can rehash. We've been doing this podcast for 3 years now. There's probably some topics we can go back and update our thoughts and opinions on, maybe.
Sure.
Let us know. Get at us on Discord. Come join the Discord server. Join in there. And have yourselves a time.
Enjoy.
Until then, thank you for listening, and we will see you all next time.
Resist the AI overlords.
Please, Joshbot. You're our only hope. You're our only hope. Save us. Oh, man, the button didn't work. I broke my Stream Deck. It's all broken. It's all burned up.
Did you see the button? Did you see the thing about the button on Twitter?
The button.
It's maybe political. I don't know if you want to talk about it now or off air.
Let's talk about it off air. We've talked about way more than we should have tonight with this fucking AI overlord shit. Let's save our listeners from that. So,
okay.
Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you all next time.
Peace out.